So we're going to stand up to start, and then we're going to come down and kind of keep it somewhat low. So go ahead and come on up to standing. And we'll start by getting the legs warmed up a little bit. So go ahead and just bend your knees, and we're going to swing the arms forward and back and do a little skier action here. So just a little swinging of the arms. Forward and back. And as you sit back, try to get your seat way back there. Sit deep. Wake up those thighs. Get the glutes going. Say hello to the hamstrings. All right, and then next time your arms come forward, come on up to standing. Take a hold of your right wrist and tip to the left. Come back to the center. Don't forget to engage your abdomen as you exhale and tip over to the right. Come on back up to center and release your arms down. Okay, so hopefully you're in a place where you could do, and I know this is way out there, but jumping jacks. We're going to do 20 jumping jacks. So I did a class where we call them Prana Jacks. And so all we're going to do is good old-fashioned jumping jacks, just like 20 of them, right? So, I don't know, I haven't seen this since like phys ed class, but for some reason the name Jack LaLanne comes to mind. I know there's a couple of you who will know who I'm talking about. All right, so we're just going to do just some Prana Jacks. Here we go. Just hopping. Get some chi. Cooking. And I didn't count. I didn't start a count, so we'll just do a few of these. Couple more. All right. Bring your hands to prayer position and just feel how, whoo, that's invigorating. Take a big deep breath. Exhale, release the arms down. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, take a forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold in. Open the palms, inhale, come on, back up. Take a hold of the right wrist again, tip yourself to the left. And inhale back to center. Take a hold of the left wrist, tip over to the right. Come on back to center and release the arms. Great, so bend your knees again, come back to your skier stance. Bring your hands into a clasp behind you and then lift and roll the shoulder heads back. Sit your hips back a little further so you can just let your chest come closer to your thighs. Lift the arms just a little bit, keeping your shoulder actions intact. And then release the hands and sweep the arms up for chair pose alongside of the head. Come on up to standing. Exhale back to forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward, Ardha Uttanasana, and exhale and fold in. Bend your knees, we're going to step right back with the right foot into a high lunge. So just find your high lunge position. Bring your hands up to your front knee. Keeping that back knee lifted and pulling in and up in the low belly. Just feeling whatever is available to open up the front of the right thigh and hip flexors. Bring the hands to the floor. Step to a down dog. Feel free to press down through opposite heels, a little bicycling of the legs, so to speak. Let's shift forward into plank pose and go ahead and come all the way down. Prop yourself up into a nice sphinx here. Settling down into the chest a little bit, pulling back in the forearms and hands. Try to keep the knees down on the floor and pull the low belly in and up. And then let's release that. Go ahead and take your hands back behind you into a clasp. And we'll take Shalabhasana, keeping the feet on the floor, lifting up through the chest and pressing back through the hands. Engaging the lower belly, pressing down in the low ribs, drawing the sides of the neck back. Not lifting the chin up, drawing the sides of the neck back. And once that happens, then maybe you lift your gaze a little bit. And set the hands on the floor. Press up to table pose. Sit back in a puppy pose just for a moment. And then come right back up to your down dog. The end of your exhale, you can hop or step to forward fold. Bowing over the legs. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward. Exhale, fold back in. We'll come up to standing now, so hug your midline. Inhale, reach the arms out and up. Palms together overhead. Slide your hands to heart center. And release your arms down. Great. All right, time for the jacket to go. And then please bring your hands to prayer position again. So nice full deep inhale. Exhale, release the arms down. Open your palms. Inhale, take the arms up and overhead. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward. If your hands touch the floor, let a little weight come into the hands and press back through your inner thighs. Exhale, folding in. Step right back with your left foot into a high lunge position. Once you get your foundation set, just bring your hands up to your right leg. It's a lot easier to do the pose when you let your torso come forward. So pull up in the lower belly and try to get your torso more vertical. And if you do this slowly, you can really feel how this starts to stretch more deeply into the hip flexors and thigh on that left side. So just work with yourself. You know, it's early yet. Pulling the belly in and up. Can the back leg stay straight? Do you even notice if your back leg is bent? You might even glance back there. See what you can figure out. That's why it's occasionally really good to practice in front of a mirror. Even though none of us, you know, we're all, what do I look like in this outfit? Is my lipstick right? Whatever. Especially Bill, I know. But you know, it's exceptionally helpful to work in front of a mirror sometimes to really check your alignment and see, is my leg really bent? What's happening there, right? Bring your hands to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. Shift forward into your plank pose. And lower to the floor. Okay, so take your left hand and walk it over to the right, up on the fingertips. And then slide your right arm underneath your left. So you make an X with your arms. Walk the hands out fairly far and just let your chin rest on your arm. So breathing into the upper back as you rest the chin. See how the exhale softens the weight down and may provide a deeper stretch in the shoulders, outer deltoids. Just feel what's available there. If it's too much, you can always walk your hands further forward and make more of a capital X, right? The further out to the sides you take the arms, the more challenging it's going to be. And then lifting the chin, walk your hands back to center. Slide the hands alongside of the chest and we'll take a Cobra Pose. So shrug the shoulders forward, lift up. Pull back in the hands, pull the low belly in and up. And lower yourself back down. Now we're going to take the right arm and walk it over to the left. Come up onto those fingertips and then slide your left arm underneath your right arm. Settle your chin to rest on your arm. You can flatten the palms onto the floor now. And just simply be here for a few rounds of breath as you inhale, trying to spread the shoulder blades apart with your breath. And as you exhale, letting gravity soften the heart, bring the shoulder blades closer and stretch the upper outer arms and shoulders. So be sure to use your Ujjayi breath just to help keep the depth of the stretch at the hands of the prana. All right, and lift the chin, walk your hands back to center, slide your hands back alongside of your chest. We'll take another Cobra Pose. Pull the shoulder blades down the back, keep the elbows in close to the sides, and then lower down a little bit, curl your toes under. Come on back up to your downward facing dog. Okay, now set your knees down. We're going to come to table position, and you'll probably want to have a blanket underneath your knees just for a few low lunging stretches before we come back up to do some standing poses. So on the knees here, let's bring the right foot forward to come into a low lunge, that left knee back on the blanket. And in your low lunge, again, just bring yourself up to a vertical spine here. Great, both arms up. Good, give yourself a little bend into the front leg. Pull the back knee forward, the front foot back, little Anjaneyasana. And then lift up, move the hips back a little bit, and then pick up your right toes. So you've got kind of a runner's lunging leg. Release and bring the hands down, and then sit back on your left heel. Stretching that left foot and the left toes. And then lift up. Take the arms back up and bend back into your front leg. Bend a little more deeply into the right leg, back to Anjaneyasana. Pull the back knee forward and the front foot back. Now take a hold of your left elbow with your right hand and drop your left hand back. Draw the elbow back and then lean back a little bit. If it's too much, you can stay upright. You don't have to take a hold of the arm. It's obviously going to go deeper into the front of the hip and hip flexors. Now release, take the arms back up alongside of the ears. Lift the hips, slide the hips back, pick up the right toes again, and then bring the hands to the floor. Sit back on that left heel again. This time, maybe you even point those left toes and sit back, and then come a little further forward towards your front leg. And then we'll lift up. Come on back up, bending into the right leg, and then we'll bring the right knee underneath. Take the left foot out into low lunge, and we'll switch sides. All right, great. As soon as you get your legs all set, let's take the arms back up alongside of the ears. Give yourself a little deeper bend in the front leg, Anjaneyasana. So pull the front foot back and the back knee forward. Pull the belly in and up as you just work with that. Not too much going on the back bend right now. Just feel into this. All right, now lifting the hips, slide the hips back, straightening the left leg, pick up the left toes. It's a little challenging to balance here, right? Yeah, we're gonna try to keep the arms up if you can in the transition. If not, that's okay too. Now go ahead and sit back on the right heel, bring your hands to the floor. Maybe not necessarily in that order. Hands have to come down first. Oh yeah, so the right toes curled under, sitting back on the right heel, coming forward a little bit, maybe not to your deepest forward fold. All right, and then we'll come back up, take the arms up, bend back into the front leg. Good, now bend a little more deeply. Back to Unjaneyasana. Pulling the front foot back and the back knee forward. Bend your right arm, your left hand is going to take a hold of the right elbow and draw it back a little bit. So integrate that right shoulder, pull your low belly in and up. See if you can take a little deeper back bend here. And then bring yourself back up, arms up alongside of the ears, lifting the hips. Slide the left hip back and straighten your left leg again. Trying to do all of that without putting the hands on the floor if possible. And then we're going to sit back on the right heel again and bring the hands down. Now if your right foot is tired in this position, you can point the toes and sit on the heel and bow forward towards your left leg. All right, and we'll lift up. Come on back up to your low lunge and bring your left knee back underneath you, back to table position. Okay, so I need to make a little room for myself here. I'm gonna scoot forward a little bit. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is take your right leg straight back behind you as if you would have it in bird dog. Turning the toes down so hips are nice and square to the floor to start. Take your left arm out in front and hug in toward the midline with your right foot and your left hand. Pull your belly in and up. Push through your left heel and really lengthen the hamstrings a little bit there. Now set your left hand on the floor, bend your right knee and take your right knee out to the side. So try to make your right thigh bone parallel to the floor. And then try to keep your weight even over your wrists and straighten your right leg out to the right. Now bend your right knee, and you're going to take your right knee over to the left, cross it in front of your left leg, and then straighten your right leg over to the left. So the edge of the foot is on the floor, leg is crossing your body. But with your hands on the floor as if you were in plank pose, try to pull this right hip back and up toward the ceiling a little bit so you get a deeper stretch in the outer leg and hip. All right, now let's bend the right leg. Go ahead and set the knee underneath you. And we'll do the other side. So take your left leg straight back, toes pointing toward the floor for a bird dog leg. And then take your right arm out in front. Hug your midline with your right hand and your left leg. And then push through your left heel. Lengthen that leg and pull your belly up. All right, you're going to set the right hand down, bend your left leg, and then open the left knee out to the side. Trying to have that leg nice and lifted and trying not to collapse over to the right shoulder. Try to keep the shoulders over the wrist and then straighten your left leg. All right, now bend the knee. Cross your left knee over your right leg, and then you're going to straighten your left leg out to the right. And if it doesn't work, you could do it with a bent knee. Or you could even sit in kind of a modified Gomukhasana if you wanted to. So now, once your legs are in this position, pull this left hip to the left and try to lift it up toward the ceiling a little bit. Squaring the hips, so the right hip's trying to press down. Keep the foot active. All right, and then we'll bend that left leg and bring the knee back underneath you. So widen your knees now and sit back in a child's pose. You can bring the sitting bones to the heels if you like and have the arms out in front. Let's set the elbows at your shoulder distance and just bring your hands to prayer. And then drop your thumbs back behind your head. And then walk your elbows forward several inches if you can, and sit the hips back again. So just to see if you can get a little deeper stretch in the shoulders here. All right, and then release. You bring the hands to the floor, come back up to table pose. Let's find downward facing dog. And at the end of your exhale, hop or step to forward fold. Bowing over the legs. Inhale, lengthen yourself forward halfway for Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, and gently fold in. And we'll come back up to standing from here, so hug your midline. Inhale, take your arms out and up. Palms together over your head, and slide your hands to heart center. Great, so release the arms down. Okay, we're gonna do some standing poses now. So let's go ahead and take the feet wide. Turn your right foot open, please, and your left foot in slightly. Square the hips a little bit more towards your front leg and then bend into the front leg. We'll come right to side angle stretch. So right elbow on the leg, left arm alongside of the ear. Find some strength as you pull your feet isometrically toward your midline. You can see I need a little more space between my feet here. Pull the belly in and up. Settle your weight a little more into your right heel and wrap your right glutes underneath you a little bit more. Now, can you, with all of that strength in the core and in the glutes, can you get longer in your spine? Slide your shoulder heads back. Pull the sides of the neck back. Now turn and look toward the floor and really reach your left arm alongside of your ear. Tuck the chin. Open it back up and then bring yourself up to Warrior Two. Arms are out, parallel to the floor. Pull the belly in and up as you sit deeply in the front thigh. Now straighten the front leg. Drop your back hand to your back leg. Turn your right palm up and tip back in a Goddess Warrior with a straight front leg. And come on back up. Keep the front leg straight. We're going to tip it right into triangle pose, Trichonasana. Bringing the right hand down and opening it up. If you need to have blocks or you need a chair or something to put hands on, feel free to grab what you need. Engage all those muscles in that right leg. And push down through that right big toe mound. And isn't it just so amazing how many triangle poses we've all done in our lives, and how when we take one in any given practice, the first triangle pose is like, oh yeah, there's some stuff that's tight. Over and over and over again, right? It's what keeps us coming back. All right, now pressing down into your left foot especially, go ahead and bring yourself up to standing. And release the arms down. So give your right knee a bend and let's spin the feet to parallel, just a wide-legged position for forward fold, Presaratanasana. Hug in the midline and go ahead and come forward. Bring the hands down. You can walk your hands back between the legs a little bit. If your head comes easily to the floor, try bearing a little weight on your head. And if you're very comfortable coming into a headstand, feel free to do that. That's your prerogative. Engaging your leg muscles. And eventually we'll walk the hands out so they're more underneath the shoulders. We'll do a nice twist now. So slide your left hand to the middle, take your right arm up and just twist your body 90 degrees, coming into a wingspan. Pulling back in the outer left hip crease. Slide your right arm back behind you. Maybe the right hand finds its way into the left hip or the front of the thigh. Rolling the right shoulder back. Taking yourself a little more deeply into the twist here. And then release the right arm. Bring the hand to the floor right in the middle in front of you. Take your left arm up and open up your wingspan looking to the left. And as the torso twists, try to pull that outer right hip crease back and lift it. And then maybe you can even bend your left arm and slide it around, and the hand can even help. So you can even kind of lift up that hip a little bit if your hand can reach around there. It doesn't have to, and if it doesn't, that's fine. Hand can be on the hip. Rolling the left shoulder head back, pulling the sides of the neck back. And then go ahead and release. Bring both hands to the floor. Bend your knees a little bit, spin the heels in, turn the toes out, and bring your elbows or your forearms to your inner knees. And press the knees open a little bit with your arms. So goddess stance, but it's almost like a standing froggy pose. Pull the low belly in and up, and don't press on the legs so much that it's just intolerable. And then bring the hands up onto the knees. Pull the belly in and up, take your arms out to the sides, and then slowly take the arms up and over your head. And come on up to standing and straighten the legs. Release the arms down. Not too bad, at least I didn't make you do push-ups with your legs here, right? Okay, so let's turn to the left. So go ahead and turn your left foot open 90 degrees, right foot turns in a little bit. Turn the hips a little bit more towards your left leg, bend the knee, and side angle stretch. So bringing the left forearm onto the thigh, right arm alongside of the ear, finding your pose. Bring a little more weight into your left heel. Draw a little bit more action in the left glutes and pull them underneath you as you pull and lift the belly up. Grow through the crown of the head and pull the sides of the neck back. So just see how much juice you can get in your side angle here. Make sure you're really integrating that right shoulder as you're holding this pose. All right, now turn to look down. Tucking your chin, reach that right arm right alongside of the ear. Push through the fingertips as you tuck your chin. All right, then taking the right arm up, come on up to Warrior Two. Arms out, parallel to the floor. A nice sense of groundedness and rootedness. You might even look back at your right thigh and make sure that the center of your thigh bone isn't forward of the center of your ankle. If it is, just move your hips back a little bit. Now straighten your left leg, that ought to feel good. Drop your right hand to the back of the leg, turn your left palm up, and then lean back in a goddess warrior with a straight front leg. All right, and then come on up. We're just going to turn and come to triangle pose, bringing that left hand down wherever you like to have it for your triangle, and opening up, right arm up. Engage all those muscles in your left leg, nice and strong. Roll both shoulder heads back. Pulling in and up in the belly. Trying to get as vertical as you can between your bottom hand and your top hand. So all those joints stack on top of one another, nice and tall. All right, I'm going to come up to standing. So push down into the right foot. Come on up. And release the arms down. Okay, give yourself a bend in the front leg and bring your feet to parallel. Go ahead and step the feet in. And just stand in mountain pose for a moment, hands to prayer. Good, let's release the arms down. Okay, we're going to come right back down to downward facing dog here, but we're going to make the legs in the configuration of that figure 4. So go ahead and come to your downward facing dog. And before we do anything creative with the legs, bend your knees and push your hands forward and move the weight back in the pose. So you're really moving the weight back. Make sure that your shoulders aren't collapsing. At the same time that you're pressing the weight back in the pose, you want to keep the shoulder heads as lifted as possible. All right, now you're going to lift up just a little bit in the hips and then cross your right ankle on top of, just above your left knee, and then bend back into your left leg as you push the hands down and forward again. So see if you can bend even more into that left leg. Move your hips back. Woo. So it might seem like you're bringing your left knee closer to the floor. It's going to be a big stretch for the Achilles too. And then lift up. Unravel that right leg and take it straight up behind you, hip open, spreading the toes, just taking the leg straight up toward the ceiling. Now go ahead and swing the right foot forward into a low lunge position. Spin your left heel down to the floor, and we're going to walk the hands not quite a 45-degree angle over to the left as you come into a lunging dog pose. So walk both hands, arms are parallel, off to the left, bending into the right leg, and sitting down into the hips a little bit. Now walk your hands back in towards yourself. You're going to lift up your hips and straighten the front leg a little bit. We're going to go the opposite direction. So now you're going to spin your left foot open a little bit and bend into the left leg. Bring your hands to the floor and walk your hands back a little bit as you straighten the right leg and turn your right toes up. So you're in kind of a half squat over here to the left. If it's just a little bit much, you stay up a little bit higher. That's fine. If you're super comfortable in the pose, you could bring your hands to prayer. I realize I'm not facing you for this, but we'll do that on the other side. And then lifting up, spin the feet back to looking toward the top of the mat, and we'll step back to downward facing dog. Okay, so bend the knees just a little bit, push the hands forward, but try to keep a lift in the shoulder heads. Again, just so you're trying to keep both ends of the pose lifted. And then we'll bend the left leg, bring the left ankle on top of the right knee. Now, not straightening the right leg, you're going to bend that right leg and push your hands forward and push the hips back. So same thing applies here, not to collapse in the shoulders, but lift the shoulder heads, move your bottom back, and then maybe even bend a little bit more into that right knee. But not so that your hips are coming forward and you're rounding into the back. You want to be able to feel this in your hips, which is why we're pressing back so deeply here. All right, now let's unwrap this left leg. Take it up toward the ceiling. Spread the toes. The left hip is open. Keep your arms nice and strong and evenly lifted in the shoulders. Now we're going to swing the left foot forward into high lunge position. Spin the right heel down to the floor as if you were just going to take a side angle or something. And then we're going to walk the hands 45 degrees or so over to your right. Sitting the hips back in this lunging down dog position. All right, and then walk your hands back in towards yourself. We're going to start to shift over toward that right foot. So lift the hips a little bit, turn your right foot, turn your left foot, walk the hands over towards your right foot. You're going to bend into the right knee and then pick up your left toes. So coming into this half squat, Skandasana. See how it goes, and you can be, again, as lifted as you need to be. If you're super comfortable in the pose, maybe you bring your hands to prayer. And bring the hands to the floor, lift the hips up, and then go ahead and bring your feet to more of a parallel position so you're kind of wide, back to almost like a Presaratanasana with feet wide. And bow forward. Take your hands to your ankles. Whew. Get your shoulders engaged. Pull the shoulder heads back a little bit. And then release the hands to the floor. We're going to hop or step the feet to about a hip distance width. So bend your knees. See if you can really lift the hips up as you bring the feet in. So maybe you have a moment where you're kind of light in the air. There we go. Okay, now we're going to come down and have a seat on a blanket. So grab a blanket, and we're also going to need a pair of blocks. If you have a pair, if you only have one will do. And probably have your strap nearby as well. All right, so as you find your cross-legged seat here, we'll start with hands back behind. We've had them in this position a number of times, so chances are you've crossed your thumbs in the same way every time. So put the opposite thumb on top as you have your hands behind you. Then lift your shoulder heads and roll them back. Lift the hands gently up behind you now. Pull the sides of your neck back and sit as tall as you can in your spine as you lift your hands. And with each exhale, you're going to push your low ribs down and engage your abdominal muscles, keeping the hands lifted. So from the side, it looks like this. All right, and then go ahead and release. And completely relax your shoulders for a couple of moments here. Just let your shoulders totally chill. Okay, now we're going to take these blocks. And if you have a pair of blocks, they're going to set up like this. You've got one horizontal and one vertical, and you're going to put your hands on the edges of that setup. If you don't have two blocks, just one block will do with hands on either side. This just gives you a little bit more width between the hands. Now the arms are going to come up so that your upper arms are about parallel to the floor as well as parallel to one another. And then we're going to integrate the shoulders. So pull your shoulder heads back a little bit and the shoulder blades down. Sit tall in your spine. And as you push your hands into the block, pretend that your elbows are locked together and you're going to lift your arms up. Keep the elbows hugging in, and then drop the block back behind you. Hands are still pressing into the block, but as if you're doing a forearm balance, Pinchamayurasana, pull the elbows in. All right, and then go ahead and release. Set your hands down. Set your hands on your knees for a moment and let your shoulders rest. So we're going to do a little bit of plugging and unplugging just to feel that. You know, we probably haven't done that for a while. So just take your arms out in front of you, palms facing in, and reach way out through your fingertips so you feel the shoulder blades separate more on your back and your back rounds a little bit. And then do the opposite and pull your shoulder heads back and your shoulder blades down. Great, and then push out again. And then pull back again and integrate. And then push out and pull back. And then rest your hands and relax your shoulders again. Okay, let's take the right arm up now. Bring the hand just like a 45 degrees forward, and then do that integration again. So pull the shoulder head back, and then take your arm back up to vertical with the shoulder more integrated. Bend the right arm now, and then take your left hand to your right elbow, not unlike what we did earlier, and then pull back on the elbow and get as vertical as you can in your torso, in your neck, in the position of the head. Now, as you're in this position, push down in the lower ribs as you exhale. And the next time we're about to exhale, we're going to tip over to the left. Take a breath in. And tip to the left. And come back up. And we're going to tip to the left again on the exhale. Inhale, come up. And release. So totally relax that right shoulder and the arm, the tricep, everything there. And just notice what sensations you feel. I've got all kinds of hot and cold and all kinds of stuff going on in that arm. Really interesting. Okay, so bring your left arm up. Take it forward about 45 degrees and then plug in the shoulder. So pull the shoulder head back in its socket, pull the shoulder blade down a little bit, and then see if you can bring the arm more into a vertical position. If you got something going on in a shoulder right now that makes this a real challenge, please don't do it. Just give yourself a little rest, right? Okay, so now with that shoulder integrated, we're going to bend the arm, bring the hand to the upper back, take your right hand to your left elbow, and try to have that left humerus bone going as vertically as you can. A vertical spine, a vertical neck, a tall sense of energy moving up through the top of the head. Now, while you're holding your arm in this position, on your exhales, push your low ribs down. Just a couple of those before we start to tip to the right. All right, inhale, letting the ribs lift up a little bit, and then start tipping to the right. Exhale, push your low ribs down. Inhale, back up. Exhale, we'll tip to the right again. Inhale. Inhale back up. Exhale and release. Again, totally relax your shoulders. Totally relax your arms. Okay, so we're going to do this one more time here where we hold the blocks. Only this time we're going to take a strap and see if we can keep the elbows in closer. So take your strap and if you had it wound up, unwind it. We're going to make a loop that's about, I don't know, let's see, about 18 inches or so. So go ahead and thread your strap or buckle your strap, and then we'll situate it to make this loop. So what we're trying to do is we're going to put this loop around the forearms so that your elbows can't go out wider as we're taking the blocks up and overhead. And you may have to have, trying to figure out where this is going to go so that it doesn't hit you in the face. There's almost nowhere you can go where it's not going to hit you in the face. So maybe you take it more out to just below the elbows, right, closer to the wrists. And then that way you've got the elbows situated so they can't splay out on you. All right, then you're going to gather up your blocks. And so from here now, integrate your shoulders, pull them back and in, and bring your arms up into this position here. So nice and integrated in the shoulders, push your hands into the blocks, and then pivot from your shoulder socket. Bring the forearms up. I happen to have a very long neck, so it's hard for me to try to get this over my head. But that strap should keep your elbows from splaying out, and the blocks will keep your hands in, so that you should be getting a pretty decent shoulder opener here now. So on your exhale, push your low ribs down. Just another breath here, and then we'll be done. And let's release. Go ahead and bring the blocks down. Take your arms out of the strap. Totally relax your arms. Okay. I think it's been the whole Christmas holiday that we've done any deep shoulder work like that. So it's probably not such a bad thing if we've been like power watching Christmas movies and drinking wine and chocolate, or shortbread if you're lucky enough. All right, so we'll move the blocks and the strap out of the way. We're going to come back down onto our bellies. Let me see. Let me check in with the time here. Yeah. We're going to come back down onto our bellies here with the blanket folded up underneath the pelvis. Not unlike what we did, I believe, on Sunday. So you go ahead and come down so that the top of your hip points are up on the folded blanket. Bring your legs in so that your thighs are nice and parallel to one another. Your knees aren't going out. You want to feel like even as you're in the position like this, the weight on your knees is kind of centered on the top of the kneecap. Right, your knees, you don't want your patellas to be like flat on the floor, but maybe the weight is just above that, but it's even, so it's not on the inner edge of your knees, which would mean your legs are externally rotated, and it's on the outer edge of the knees, which means that your knees are rolled in, right? Okay, so from here now, we're going to take your right arm out in front, take your left arm beside you, and then lift your left leg, lift your right arm, and just get this little bit of support under the belly as you take this kind of swimming half Shalabhasana. Hug in towards your midline, engage the belly. Now, can you bend your left leg and take a hold of the foot? Push the foot back into the hand. Keep the knee hugging in towards your midline. And again, if it doesn't work to reach for the foot, you can always keep the legs straight. And then come down and have a rest. All right, let's go to the other side now. So left arm out in front. Lift the right leg, take your right arm back alongside of you. So swimming half Shalabhasana here. Hug in towards your midline. And then we'll bend the right leg. Push the foot back against the hand. A half bow. And release. Come on down. Okay. So now we're going to come down onto our backs. And we're going to do one more back bend. And I'm going to let you choose what you want to do. So we've been pretty well prepared for Urdhva Dhanurasana, especially with that deep work in the shoulders. If you really feel like, yeah, I really want a deeper back bend, then go for it. You also could just do a bridge pose. And if you feel like you're kind of done, you could also just rest in constructive rest pose. Just letting your knees kind of rest in toward one another, okay? So let's set ourselves up for our last back bend here. And you just take yourself through the actions that you know in the very best way that you can. And when you have completed your back bend, you just come down onto your back. Widen your feet, let your knees drop in to rest against one another for constructive rest pose. You can do whatever feels best with your arms. If you just want to have the hands resting on your abdomen, that's fine. Or you can have the arms out to the sides, whatever works for you. Okay, so we're going to do the Supta Padangusthasana series now. Go ahead and grab your strap again. And if you still have a loop in it, you'll want to get rid of the loop so you can take your foot up in the strap. So we'll take the right foot up first. Left leg's on the ground. And then we'll just take the leg straight out to the side once you have the leg situated. Yeah, there we go. All right, right leg out to the right. Excellent. Keep yourself nice and grounded in that left leg. And let's bring the right leg back to center. Go ahead and switch the straps into your other hand and cross your right leg to the left. Keep your spine long. Keep the side body long as you're taking your right leg over to the left. So you kind of push your hips away from your head and then pull the foot up to whatever extent works for you. All right, and then bring the leg back up. Just go ahead and step your left foot into the strap, right leg down to the floor. And once you get yourself situated and nicely grounded in the right leg, with those straps in the left hand, take your left leg out to the left. And then we'll bring the leg up, switch both of those straps into the right hand and cross your left leg over to the right. Keeping the right shoulder on the ground, left shoulder on the ground, I should say. And the side of the body long. All right, so if you want to tuck your left thumb into that hip crease and push it away, you could do it manually, or you could just tell your body, I'm going to lengthen right there. And then bring the leg back to center. All right, so we'll step out of the strap. Let's roll to the side. Come on up to a seat now. Okay, so we're going to set ourselves up for our final relaxation pose. Now, I know it seems early, and we're going to have a lot of time for this, so don't bow out, don't take off. Please do this because it's like the whole practice has been preparing us for this. This is the cream, right? This is the good stuff. So as we set up for this, take a blanket, get your socks, get your jackets. Let's take the time to really be warm and comfortable here. All right, now if you happen to have a bolster, I highly recommend using a bolster for this. And if you do not have a bolster, you could use 2 blocks set end to end, or you skip it, and we're just going to do the Supta Baddha Konasana legs, right? So anything that you want to set up that would mimic basically a bolster would be a lovely thing to have. Make sure you got your socks and your jackets on. And you're going to take a blanket, if you have it, open it up so that it's a long rectangle. And then lengthwise, you're going to roll this into a nice, soft Tootsie Roll. And then once you have your blanket rolled up, now you don't want to steal the blanket. If you only have one and you need another one to cover you, make sure you have that before we lay down, right? So you want to make sure you're going to be warm enough here. And then what we'll do is you'll sit in front of whatever you've configured to support your back. It could be nothing, could be whatever. Bring the soles of the feet together in Baddha Konasana. Don't worry about bringing the heels up too close to your body quite yet. Just let your feet be together and your knees externally rotated. Then you take this soft blanket on top of your feet, but then you lift your knees. Take a hold of the ends of the blanket and pull your feet in towards you as you lay down. Let this blanket support your outer shins, or if it goes all the way up to your thighs, feel free to take the blanket all the way up there, right? Now from this position, scoot your shoulder blades in a little bit and down so that you don't have your chin sticking up, right? And then just let the hands rest close to your sides with the palms turned up. And throw another blanket over you, or you've got your jacket on, whatever it is. So hopefully you're warm enough here.